Ladies and gentlemen, the following hour of commercials will be shown with only 4 entertainment interruptions.
Hi. You may not believe this, but at this very moment I am Steve Allen of the Highway Patrol. Through the courtesy of our guest star, Larry Wilcox, co-star of Chips.
Thank you, Steve. You know, we're going 80 miles an hour. We wear them, perhaps you should.
You mean a helmet?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, Larry, I'm wearing so much hairspray, I don't think I need a helmet.
You think hairspray's enough protection?
Are you kidding? I once saw Glenn Campbell and Ann Miller in a head-to-head collision. They walked away with only minor hair dents.
Funny, I thought that was John Davison and Tom Snyder.
But you know, you and Eric Estrada riding all over California on these bikes must be exciting.
We have a good time, Steve. As a matter of fact, last week I delivered a lady's baby on the back of my bike while chasing a culprit at 70 miles an hour.
Wow, why didn't you just stop?
What? Let the father get away?
Hey, isn't that a hitchhiker? Let's pull over here. There we are.
Hey, do you believe who that is?
What? Mr. President, what are you doing out here?
Where are you going, sir?
I'll take your question first.
Where are you headed for, sir?
I'm going to Hollywood to get into pictures.
Get into pictures, and then what?
Then I'm going to run for governor of California, and from there, who knows?
From Hollywood, the city with stars on the sidewalk, especially after the bars close. It's the Steve Allen Comedy Hour, with guest star Larry Wilcox and starring Joe Baker, Kay Ballard, Robin Ray, Elaine Joyce, Jackie Mesa, Anthony Newley, Tom Poston, Bill Saluga, Nancy Steen, the Thrillman Players, Harry Gibbs and his orchestra, and Steve's special guest, Steve Lawrence. Now, here's the trouble of fame, Steve Zillman.
Thank you very much. Woo! To you too, Terry Gibbs. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the Steve Allen Comedy Hour. Well, sir, this is the show that asks the question, in all seriousness. Does Lorne Green's contract with Alpo demand that he be neutered? That's what we would like to know. But all seriousness aside, you know, it takes people, I was explaining this a moment ago to these nice ladies and gentlemen here in the audience, it takes people with a lot of different skills to put on this kind of a show every week. And from time to time, we'd like to just sort of stop here and pay tribute to some arm of the business. And tonight, I want to say a special word about the artistry of our makeup people, the men and women who perform miracles on demand. And to show you the consummate skill of the makeup artist, I must tell you that in reality, I am Barbara Walters, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you can laugh, but later I'm going to have an exclusive interview with Fidel Castro, who, thanks to the makeup department, is really Bonnie Franklin. So that's how it is. But enough of this balderdash and Tommy rot, who incidentally are Barbara Walters' attorneys, and we'll be hearing from them any minute. But right now it is time, you'll be glad to hear, I know I'm very relieved to know that it's time for our person on the street. And tonight's question is... Tonight's question is, what would you do to solve the overpopulation problem? And let's see. Ah, yes, there's someone on the street. And may I ask, what is your name, sir?
I is Abraham Lincoln, and I is the 16th President of the United States.
That is ridiculous. You are not.
Well, so what?
Now, come on now. Who would believe that you're Abraham Lincoln?
Well, let's try this one. Would you believe that I is Rula Lenska? Now, nobody can prove who the hell she is.
Well, no, since you ask, I would not believe that.
Well, you know, I was once Abraham Lincoln. That was in another life, though.
Well, come on now. What makes you believe in reincarnation?
Because this suit has been worn before. Also because somebody else lived in this body. I knows I couldn't have done this much damage to it by myself.
I see. All right. Tell me, sir, what do you do for a living?
I was a salesman.
Oh, and what do you sell?
Well, I puts falsies on horses, and I sells them to nearsighted Arabs as camels.
I must say that's very interesting.
That's not all I sells. I has a complete line of toupees for children.
Now, hey, come on. That is ridiculous. Children do not go bald.
But when they does, I was ready for them.
Well, sir, if I may, I'd like to ask you our question, and here it is. What would you do to solve the overpopulation problem?
Well, I doesn't know about now, but in the future life, all men should come back as elephants, and all women should come back as ants.
I don't understand. How would that solve overpopulation?
I guarantee they won't survive the first date.
Please get off the street, sir, and thank you very much.
Oh, you doesn't have to call me sir. My name is Raymond J. Johnson, Jr.
Thank you,
now,
sir.
You can call me Ray.
Thank you,
You
Ray.
can call me Ray.
And now, let's turn our cameras loose again and see what they come up with. Ah, yeah! I see we picked up someone else, and what is your name, sir?
Oh, just a minute. It's Harold O'Rourke.
That's your name?
No, that's the name of this card.
Now, wait a moment, sir. Is there some reason you can't remember your own name?
Well, there must be. Here. I have a rare form of amnesia that causes me to forget certain things almost instantly.
I see. Well, my goodness, that must be a problem.
What must be?
What it says on that piece of paper.
Oh, well, I'd read this darn paper, but I can't remember where I left my glasses.
Sir, they are on your nose.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
It says that I have a rare form...
No, I know what it says.
Then why did you ask?
Never mind. Really, though, having memory lapses like that must be quite a problem.
Well, it is a problem. I can't keep a job.
No?
No what?
I mean, you just said it's a problem keeping a job.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I used to be a dairy farmer.
Dairy farmer, you milk cows?
No, I forgot. Maybe that's why they exploded.
By the way, sir, what do you do now?
Well, I'm a spy.
Oh, that is silly. You can't... how could you be a spy? You can't remember any secrets.
Well, that's the beauty of it. If I'm captured, they can't get a thing out of me.
All right, here's our question for the day. What would you do about overpopulation?
I'd give the married men the headaches.
You really believe that?
Believe what?
Never mind. Forget it.
I already did.
All right, get out of here. Thank you very much. Well, that's our person on the street for tonight, which will teach me never to go out on this street. In my capacity as composer, I've had the pleasure of working with some of the great lyricists of our time. Sammy Cahn, Johnny Mercer, and a good many others. And I've noticed each man has his own manner of creating lyrics to songs. Here's how the great Anthony Newley does it.
Take a song, Miss Jones. An animal song. If I could talk to the animal, just imagine it, chatting to a chimp in chimpanzee. Oh, look at that. 1 o'clock already. Miss Jones, let me buy you some lunch.
This is Eyewitness News with Reuben, Inez, Jack, Ozzie, Harriet, David, Ricky, Sweet Sue, Dr. Bill, and the entire Eyewitness News team. And now here's your anchorman, Steve Anchor.
Thank you, staff announcer, and thank you, members of the orchestra. From the corner of Brack and Pinion in Hollywood, this is Steve Anchor reporting. In the headlines tonight, this item just in. Abe Vigoda and Eric Estrada will co-star in a new NBC TV series called Fish and Chips, ladies and gentlemen. But mainly in the news tonight, another crash, a freeway mess, another coup in Bangladesh. Another season it's got the same sweet loveliness. Wait a minute, hold it. That's the music. What are you doing? This is the newsroom, not the rainbow room. Sit down again. Let's get down to business. It's just ridiculous. And now for the news. Dateline, Washington. An anonymous source disclosed today that one of Ronald Reagan's first acts as chief executive will be to pardon Chuck Barris. Yes.
One item for you.
You certainly do. Get it out of here. Thank you very much. Sports flash. Former heavyweight champion boxer Arnold Sussman decided to hang up his gloves today so he could return to his first love, beating up ordinary people. Over to you, Tom, something.
Thank you, Steve, and I am really something.
You certainly are.
Steve, we have film on that daring bank robbery in Pacoima this afternoon. Unfortunately, we don't have a projector. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Now we have a special report on a quite serious matter, unemployment, from our economics editor, Bill Jackson. Bill's subject tonight, the appalling increase in people out of work. Bill?
Sorry, Steve. Bill was fired.
Well, easy come, easy go. And now over to you, Tom.
Dateline, Moron, Indiana. Police are looking for an enraged husband who, upon learning that his wife had triplets, took a shotgun and set out to find the other two men.
Film at 11. Well, medicine is once again in the news, and here with the medical report is Eric.
Thank you, Sybil. The doctors at Mercy Hospital this morning performed a heart transplant on poor patient Frank Ferguson. The donor was a 12-year-old Cocker Spaniel. According to doctors, Ferguson will now be able to lead a normal life and enjoy the activities he likes most, golfing, painting, and licking your face.
The Niles Licious Book of Records made a new entry today when Seymour Looney broke the all-time cartoon-watching record by non-stop watching 2,000 cartoons in a row. He's resting quietly in his home this evening, and our Eyewitness News reporter, Penny Loafer, is there with him. Take it away, Penny.
Mr. Looney, you've watched 2,000 cartoons. You must be tired. I think I understand that. Tell me, what's your favorite cartoon? The Road Runner cartoon. And what part of the Road Runner cartoon do you like best? When Wile E. Coyote gets it. You know, Mr. Looney, you seem to be drawn to the violence in cartoons. Well, thank you, Seymour Looney.
It's been my great pleasure, Penny. Anytime.
Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Penny. That was outrageous. Over to you, Mary Jane.
Here's an interesting story. A woman was arrested at New York's Kennedy Airport today when it was discovered she was smuggling 245 pounds of cocaine in her brassiere. Police Captain Murray Tashman said it was the biggest bust he'd seen in a long time.
Thank you, Carmine. And now over to you, Penny Loafer, for a hot flash.
I've been getting a lot of these lately, Steve. I'll be all right in a minute.
That's perfectly all right, sweetheart. Well, sir, good news on the Washington front. Incoming administration economist Gus Bavona claims that there will be 100% employment and no inflation in 1981. There's also bad news tonight. Economist Bavona also claims he is Julius Caesar, Wonder Woman, and Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Well, sir, that's the Eyewitness News for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow evening with some other news, some other sports. No Walter Cronkite, but Molly Schwartz, without no headline. We'll go on bread lines while making walking.
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Just hold it. I'm Freddie Silverman. I'm here to remind you that this is a newsroom, not a nightclub. I never want to see this happen again. This couldn't happen all. This is but once in a lifetime.
And that's Eyewitness News for tonight. Good night, folks.
Bye-bye and bye-bye.
You know something? You're very pretty. What's your name?
Shirley.
Shirley. Lovely name. Tell me, Shirley, what time do you get off work?
About 6:15.
Really? Why don't you meet me in the bar afterwards? We'll have some drinks and a little dinner. You come back to my place. We'll do a bit of cheek-to-cheek dancing and perhaps have a little nightcap and then get into some really heavy stuff.
Sorry, but I'm married.
Who cares? Tell your husband you have to visit a sick friend and you'll be home early in the morning.
Well, why don't you tell him yourself? He's shaving you.
I am a Bob and Ray freak. It's not the only kind of a freak I am, but that's one of the kinds. I just love Bob and I love Ray, and when they're both together, I go crazy all together. And we're always thrilled to have them on our show. But I shouldn't be introducing them facetiously now, because, you know, we live in very difficult times for our cities. There's so many terrible things happen. And they have something quite interesting to contribute to that, a new city bureau, and they'll tell you all about it. Once again, Bob and Ray. Hello.
This is Dr. Claveman, and I understand, sir, that you are head of the New York City Bureau of Terribleness.
That's right. And I'm such an expert at what's terrible that I could work at any major city in the United States. I say that now without fear of contradiction. But all seriousness aside, almost all of the happenings in our big cities these days are terrible. Now, there are strikes and crimes and riots, muggings, arson, malfeasance in some offices, moral turpitude, feminine pulchritude, blatant moppery, crime, corruption, rum, Romanism, and rebellion.
That's terrible.
Well, that shows how much you know. But the city council felt that since almost everything that happens these days is terrible, there should be some expert on terribleness that could, specialize in the administration and elucidation of all these terrible things.
And you, as an administrator, will see that all this is carried out.
Oh, that's right. I'm really terrible at that. Now, naturally, it would make no sense to have a Bureau of Terribleness and have it brilliantly administered. So, as one of the most terrible administrators in the history of not only this administration, but dire straits generally, some of our leading dummies of the community felt that I was the natural man for the job. What can I tell you?
Well, what is it that you want to tell the citizens who are watching the program tonight?
Well, I think people should be prepared for terrible things. For example, you should make some kind of terrible plans for some terrible possibilities. I'd say, put aside enough terrible food for 3 days and 2 nights at the glorious Flamingo Hotel in carefree Las Vegas. And go through your wardrobe and pick out your most terrible clothes. Some terrible place in your house. Then if some terrible disaster strikes, the situation for you personally, I assure you, will really be terrible. At least you won't be surprised.
Dr. Claveman, this has really been a terrible interview.
Look who's talking. But if you want terrible, you came to the right man. And I'm terribly glad you did.
Television and motion picture personalities are often among the most generous people in the world. For example, Jerry Lewis, every year, gives of himself for a telethon for his favorite charity. Doris Day has raised thousands to help unfortunate animals. Danny Thomas has devoted years to helping Doris Day. A lot of wonderful people do these wonderful things. And our guest, Larry Wilcox, is no exception. When we asked Larry to be a guest on this program this evening, he said that what with the pressures of doing his weekly series, Chips, he did not like to do guest appearances. However, he would make an exception if we would allow him to use our show as a platform from which he could address all America on a subject of great personal concern to him. And I'm sure it would be of equal importance to you. Welcome, please, Larry Wilcox.
Thank you. I'm Larry Wilcox, and I'm a television star, so I know what's best for you. Tonight, I'd like to take a moment of your time to discuss with you something that strikes the young and the old, the rich and the poor alike. It's the nation's #1 scalp crippler, dandruff. Dandruff attacks these vital areas: the hair, the eyebrows, and in Latin America, the mustache. Now, how do you prevent dandruff? You ask yourself these questions and look for these danger signals. Number one, do pigeons land on your lapels in search of crumbs? When you shake your head, do children sing White Christmas? When you go to get a haircut, does your barber wear ski clothes? If so, you have dandruff, the number one menace since the frizzies. Now remember, the scalp is the front lawn of your face, so don't let your head run down the neighborhood. For further information, write the International Treatment for Crummy Hair. That's it, Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me there, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Is your name by any chance Henry Jameson?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is.
Uh-huh. October 21st last year, were you in Lake Tahoe?
Lake Tahoe, 21st? Yes, I was.
Uh-huh. Did you happen to stay at the Crystal Hotel?
Yes, I did.
Ah, and while you were there, did you meet a certain Clarissa Danvers?
Yes, I did.
Uh-huh. You bought her drinks and dinner?
Yes, I did.
And after dinner, did you take her up to your suite?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Well, I want you to know, sir, that she is my wife, and I don't like it.
Strange, neither did I.
You know, I was just down on Channel 2 again checking what they're doing. It's always a pleasure to meet someone who doesn't wait till the last minute. And tonight, we are quite honored to bring you the first man to declare himself a candidate for the 1984 presidential election. We take you now to a press conference in his campaign headquarters. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the next president of the United States, Mr. Murray Goldberg. Here he is.
Tippecanoe and Goldberg, too. Send me to Washington with a nickel, and I'll get this country out of a pickle. I'll give you an honest government. I'll give you a budget cuts, tax cuts, and above everything, vote cuts.
You think that you're qualified to run for president?
The nerve to ask me a question like this? What makes me qualified? I've sacrificed for myself, for my country all my life. All my life I've suffered for this country. I'm still suffering from shock since the last war. I was almost drafted. What this country needs is a lean budget. We have to cut the fat. Take a look. Is this lean or not?
Sir, excuse me, but what makes you think you understand the international situation?
In a delicatessen, you have to be an expert on international affairs. Everything here is an international problem. Look what I got here. Russian rye, Italian salami, Greek olives, Turkish halva, Nova Scotia salmon, Alaskan crab.
Alaskan crab?
Good. That's my wife.
Excuse me, sir, but why would you make a better president?
What do you mean, why would I make I would make the best president in the world today. Of course we have good presidents. We have some promising people. Right now we have a promising man. Ronald Reagan has promised so much. I heard a rumor that Carter voted for him.
Mr. Goldberg, India seems to be having financial problems. Now, would you send money to New Delhi?
New Delhi? I can't even take care of this, then.
Candidate Goldberg, sir. Now, how do you feel about America giving so much financial assistance to foreign countries?
Financial assistance is perfect. I'm in favor of financial assistance. It's the cash that bothers me. But we could solve the whole problem of foreign aid if we make Billy Carter the Secretary of State. Anybody who could go to Libya. Listen to this. Are you busy? I'll tell you the whole story. Anybody who could go to Libya, get $250,000 from them and give them nothing in return, not even a receipt. That's the guy I want.
Candidate
Next
Goldberg.
question.
Yes. This country has been operating on a deficit for the past 50 years. Now, how would you balance the budget?
That's a brilliant question. I'll tell you how we would balance the budget. The reason we lose money every year is because the Congress and the Senate, they get paid whether we lose money or not. So they don't even care. Why should they care? I said put them on commission. That's the only way.
Candidate Goldberg, do you honestly think the voters will turn out for you?
Will they turn out? Who cares if they turn out? This is not an exercise class. I don't care if they turn out, turn in, as long as they show up. Right now, the main problem is that only 40% of the people came to the voting booths.
You think you can change that?
Of course I could change that. In every voting booth, you know what I'll put in? Huh? An X-rated picture.
Excuse me, candidate Goldberg. If you were elected, what would be your first executive order?
My first executive order. It's funny you should bring it up. My first executive... Ooh. Sheila, listen, I forgot all about it. Get me an order of 17 prep lock, 19 knishes, 14 chopped livers, 18 corned beef, 17 pastrami's. I forgot all about it. It's for the St. Patrick's Cathedral. The priest is waiting for an hour. Goldberg, power to the pastrami!
More monkeying around with Larry Wilcox, Steve Lawrence, Anthony Newley, and Kay Ballard right after this.
You know, I've been watching Steve Allen for a long time, and he never ceases to amaze me when it comes to comedy ad-libbing. In fact, nobody does it exactly like Steve. Most people don't do it at all. A good example of this was the other night when Steve had completed taping the show. The audience was leaving, and Steve spotted an old gentleman sleeping in the back row, actually sleeping. Now, this really happened. Watch this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show officially is over. And we noticed that we made a particular hit, apparently, with one gentleman who was seated back in this part of the house. It's been a long, difficult evening. Everybody's gone. And, just see if I can get back in here. Find out, I hope he's asleep. Hello there. Hello, sir. This is Sergeant York. Commander of your platoon. Hello, old-timer. Sir? This is the Arizona Border Patrol. You carrying any nuts or fruits in there, sir? Hey, Mac, knock it off. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. Don't want to wake them up too fast. They must have put on a hell of a show, I got to tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mahatma Gandhi. Sorry, I'm showing great disrespect to an Indian holy man. Say, man. I think we're... Sir? Hello? Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Hello, sir? Dare I lay a finger on him? Bring me somebody's finger, would you please? I'll try this one, it's handy. Sir? Ah.
One.
Who are you?
Huh?
Who are you?
I'm from Glenville.
Okay, well, that tells us who you are. Now, where do you live?
Las Plumas and Glendale.
Yeah, how long have you been here?
Where? About what time the show started? I don't know.
It did start a long time ago. You see, it's a 1-hour show, but we do these on tape, so they take several hours. Did you have a long day today before you got here?
I waited a couple hours.
You waited a couple hours to get in?
Yeah, I got here 4:30.
4:30? What day?
This day.
This day. How can you be so damn sure? Rip Van Winkle, ladies and gentlemen. Just for the record, I don't know when the record is being... What is your name?
Harry.
Just Harry. Sleepy Harry, ladies and gentlemen. Do you recall just at which specific part of the show you dozed off?
I don't know.
Do you remember any of the show at all?
No, I don't think so.
I don't blame you. Or in my mind, too. Well, Harry, you've been, as they always say on television after they've hideously embarrassed somebody, you've been a good sport. And we have a little prize for you. It's a 2-week all-expense cruise on a torpedo, Harry. No, I have to say that's I don't know how else to get off, but you've been a very good sport. How will you get home tonight?
Home by bus.
And what bus do you get?
What time is it now?
What,
12:30 is the last bus.
12:30 is the last bus? Go back to sleep, Harry. Thank you very much, Harry the Sleeper.
Hey, wait a minute, Mac.
What are you doing with that thing?
You remember that girl I said I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole?
Yeah?
She's just inherited $4 million.
Since the days of the ancient astronomers, man has had a love affair with the universe. A new show, Carl Sagan's Cosmos, has piqued our interest once again. And if you've ever had your interest piqued, you know how painful that can be. But really, one of our Krellman players now gives his incredibly creative version of how the universe got started. Fred Smoot.
And God created the universe. And then he went on and created our solar system, our great sun, the star. That's a black hole. And then he went on and created the planets. The first planet in our solar system, the smallest planet, the planet Mercury. Only got better at it. The planet Venus, the mysterious atmosphere that shrouds its surface. And then he created our planet, the planet Earth. Then the mysterious red planet, the planet Mars. And then the giant planet among planets that we know of, the incredible Jupiter. And then Saturn with the incredible rings. And the twin planets, Uranus and Neptune. And then the last planet, the farthest distant planet, planet Pluto. And then God created man.
Shoot five partners.
And then God created woman. Thank God.
Are you the pharmacist?
Yes, can I help you?
See, I got a problem. I feel romantic every waking hour of the day. All I want to do is kiss and hug and fool around every second. All I can think about is romance. What can you give me for it?
Excuse me a second.
Oh. Well, what can you give me for it?
I just talked to my sister, and the best we can do is $5,000 in the drugstore.
Recently, in keeping with the popular trend of honoring great composers with shows such as Jacques Brel is Alive and Well, we paid tribute to another unrecognized musical great. Perhaps you remember that production. Seymour Glick is alive but sick. And so tonight, with blithe indifference to the evident cultural realities, we continue with the fascinating story of Seymour Glick. In World War II, you know, Seymour served with great distinction with the British Thermal Unit. Then later he joined a Cooks and Bakers Battalion, but was finally mustered out when he ran out of mustard. But like George M. Cohan, he wrote some great war songs. Yes, he did. George M. Cohan, you know, wrote Over There. Seymour wrote a song called Over Here. He thought the Japanese were going to win. Anyway, to help us honor the prolific Mr. Glick, we are fortunate to have with us this evening 4 gifted vocalists. First, a young man who started out by singing to a congressional committee. Won't you welcome the subtle yet bland stylings of Steve Gubenko. Here he is.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful round of hostility, Steve. By the way, Seymour Glick wanted very much to be here tonight, but unfortunately he's bedridden.
Oh, bedridden. That's too bad.
Yes, it all happened when the bed he was riding was totaled by a circus truck.
Yeah.
But as luck would have it, the driver who was driving was a clown. And he's the circus clown, and he happens to be a Seymour Glick fan.
Ah.
And he's also a part-time pianist.
What a remarkable
Yes, and he's agreed to be here tonight.
How lovely. Isn't that marvelous?
Yes, it is. Would you welcome him, please? Marvelous pianist, Mr. Bozo Beaumont. Bozo,
isn't that Way to go, Bozo. Honk if you love Seymour. Attaboy. Secondly, but definitely not firstly, a woman who has just finished 16 weeks on the road with Charles Carroll, ladies and gentlemen, and the Pips. And here she is, America's aunt, the once lovely Princess of Porcelana, Miss Kay Blailman. And now, a young man who began his career as a ski instructor, and from there on in, it was all downhill, my friend. Won't you please say hello to this clever young song stylist and narc, Thelonious Assault. And last, but definitely least, a young woman who started her career with a backup group in a parking lot. The only girl in town whose answering machine says, "Thanks for calling, I'll be right over." ladies and gentlemen, here is the lovely and very promiscuous Miss Rhoda Zellman. When he was only 3, Seymour's mother took him to Carnegie Hall to a concert. That was to change his entire life, because she left him there. For 7 years, poor little Seymour actually lived in an orchestra pit, subsisting on a diet of leftover cheeseburgers, cufflinks, and rosin. But it was during this period, with Seymour longing for real food, that he wrote a haunting ballad based on a menu from a nearby Mexican restaurant. Now accompanied by Terry Gibbs and his circadian rhythms, here is lovely Erica Strada to sing Carne Asada.
Carne asada y 2 tamales, 3 enchiladas con chicharrón, un aguacate y 2 tortillas y tostaditas para comer carne asada, frijoles negros, boñatos fritos y arroz también. Y para postre, un flan de leche, un chocolate y a reventar.
Thank you, Erica. That was really fattening. And now, ladies and gentlemen, more fascinating details. Fame came late to Seymour Glick. While his colleagues Gershwin, Berlin, Cole Porter, Jerome Kern all achieved tremendous success in Tin Pan Alley, Seymour somehow, he just missed out. Even though he was writing songs such as T for 12, Smoke Gets in Your Nose, lovely ballad entitled Star Dirt, and my personal favorite, The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Muzak, a particularly popular in elevators all over America to this day. But then, sinking into a deep depression, Seymour thought he was completely forgotten. But he forgot to forget that he was forgotten, and out of the depths of his tragedy wrote his most memorable song, Forgetting.
I can't forget that you forgot me. Please don't forget that I forgot to forget you. You forgot that I forget to forget the night we met. I forgot you were so pitiable. It was all so unforgettable. Everybody, we can't forget that we forgot before. Just the women over 40 is forgotten once more. If your heart forgets, well, let it. If you've forgotten me.
Forget it.
Well, what do you mean, forget it? I'm not finished.
That's what you think. That'll be all of this number. Thank you very much. Thanks, Steve. You sure have a way with the song. And you almost got away with that one. Anyway. Forget what? But love finally came to Seymour Glick in the person of a girl named Shirley. It was Shirley who gave Seymour his first big standard. You remember the song? Standard on the corner watching all the girls go by? But one night, while he and Shirley were in his apartment, dancing to the Nixon tapes, ladies and gentlemen, he got the inspiration for this catchy Watergate ditty because he kept hearing the phrase expletive deleted when they took out the rather harsh words. So here now are Sheila and High Cholesterol to put this wonderful song across.
Like to expletive deleted you. Oh, expletive, that's what I'd like to do.
I'd like to expletive and expletive and expletive and expletive. I'd really like to expletive you.
I'd like to expletive deleted you.
Until we've expletived ourselves to death.
And when you've expletive my expletive and then have nothing more to give,
I'll expletive you till you're out of breath.
oh,
I'd like to expletive deleted you.
Thanks, kids. Wash up and get out. And now, no tribute to Seymour Glick would be complete without this lilting dance number. It's from Seymour's big Latin musical. I'm sure you old-timers remember it. Remember it, Dorothy Miller? Mexican Heartburn? You were there, the opening night. You remember the hit record by Herb Appleman and the Tijuana Trash, ladies and gentlemen. Seymour was at this party in the second act, and he stuck his chip in a little guacamole dip, and he said to himself, there's a song title. So here's his lovely ballad titled Moon River. Here it is.
South of the border, there's a brand new craze.
a dance so fancy that it breaks all ways.
Squeeze an avocado till it starts to drip, and you're doing the guacamole dip. Guacamole. Guacamole. Now you're doing the guacamole dip.
It's a new sensation from down Mexico way. It's dressy, but it's messy, and we're here to say.
Squeeze an avocado, but be careful you don't trip as you do the guacamole dip. Chip, chip, chip.
Oh, hello there. Well, sir, that is our show for tonight. Now let's see yours. But all seriousness aside, I would like to thank our wonderful guests, Larry Wilcox, Steve Lawrence, Anthony Newley, Tom Poston, Jackie Mason, Kay Ballard, Elaine, Joyce, and our wonderful Krellman players. And in closing, if I may, I'd like to quote the words of Telly Savalas, who once said, "A fool and his hair are soon parted." That's what he actually said. And that's the last time I buy a joke from Yulbrunner. Good night, folks. Thank you.